now some of you might say, well, here comes the difficult part. It's really not that difficult because I've taken a lot of the work out of it for you. The main important thing with this is to hook it up according to the way the Walkera, especially and I don't know if they're different on the 7, but you can look in the manual and you can find it. The important thing is to hook it up the way that radio transmits in the order that it transmits, as far as your elevator and throttle and aileron and rudder and all of that. You want it to be in the order that it transmits, or it would normally transmit from the Devo 7 to one of the Devo 7 receivers, which is the RX701. I'm not using the RX701, I'm using the EZUHF 8-channel diversity. And they do have a smaller one. I got a really good deal on this one, and it's working absolutely wonderful. So I've heard that you aren't gaining a whole lot of distance with the diversity, but I like having the extra protection of the diversity. What diversity means is, if you look how I have the antennas angled in the V, when you tilt and you go into a bank, you're creating that 90 degree. And so that's really helping you when that vertical transmitter pole is shooting it out. You want it to be hitting one pretty much straight up and down. So even in the turns, if one would lose, then the one that is coming straight up on the bank is going to gain the signal. So depending on how far you're pushing it. I did not add this system to go crazy long range with this quad, and the reason being is because this quad is not designed. The most you're going to get with my most efficient prop set, I'm getting around 14-minute flight times with this on a 2200 3S battery. So I'm not going to go that far, but I wanted the protection to be able to punch through the woods. I want to be able to fly around the back of a house or through a barn and not have to worry about the 2.4 having an issue. That is hugely important for me. You can never put a price on peace of mind. Okay, now let's get down to connecting the receiver from the UHF system to the Walkera Runner 250. This is fairly easy. The most difficult thing for me was finding the order in which the Devo 7 transmits, and I believe you could go into Devo 7 if you wanted to, and you could change it around so that it's transmitted in a different order. But since this video is pretty much about plug and play and the simplicity of hooking up a UHF system to the Walkera Runner, we're going to go by how it does it out of the box. You're going to need some cables here, some servo cables. I could not find locally, I could not find the single connectors. And you could use a try, especially on the first set here, where I'm using the power, the ground, and the elevator. But I couldn't find those attachments. All I could find was a 3-prong servo connector clip, and so I ended up making my own, and I'll just show you that real quick. What I did is I took the clip, and if you have a servo cable, you can just, I don't know if you look real close, some of you new guys may not know this, there's some little tabs on there, and you can pry those tabs up and it'll just come right out, and you already got your cable done pretty much, unless you want to make them 100% from scratch, and then you can add those little metal pieces on there. But what I did is I just took some heat shrink tubing, and I went right around the little metal end. I don't know if you can see that, and I just made one individual connectors, and that was very simple to do. It took me maybe 5-10 minutes to make all the cables I needed, and I was pretty much ready to go. So here in the first row, and if you look on the receiver, depending on which side you have facing up, I have made sure, since I don't want these props to hit into my antennas, so instead of having it like that, where you can see the channel numbers, I spun it over upside down so that I have complete clearance of the props, which I'll show you when the props are on it here in a little while. Back to the receiver, so we're going to start with channel 1, and this is the order of how you're going to connect them. So I'm just going to read this off, and you can get a pen and paper and write it down, or you can look in the Devo 7 or whatever Devo radio you're using with your Walkera Runner. You can look in there and you can find the order of how it sends things. On channel 1, you're going to have your elevator, and channel 1 on the Walkera, right here on the bottom, that also is where you're going to get your power, which is 5 volt. So on channel 1, I have the power, the ground, and the elevator connected. And the one cable that I had off of here was one of those, so I'm just going to go ahead and plug that back in. And it is just that simple. I mean, you're just pushing these on until they're down there as far as they can go. And then, okay, on your channel 2, which will be your next one over, you're going to have your aileron. So I'm running a cable from there, which would be this one, the second one over, and I'm running it down in, and on the bottom of this, you will see where it says aileron on the inside. You might have to use a flashlight, or you may want to take your base off, and that way you can see it a little bit better, and just follow those. So aileron's number 2, and then number 3, I have the throttle. Number 4, I have the rudder, and number 5, I have the gear. That is all you need connected in order to use everything that comes pre-programmed to fly the runner. And that's it. It is literally that simple. So why the internet has not had anybody other than my hill jackass show people how to do it, I don't know. So I just connect it, put it down here. And you may say to yourself, well, that doesn't, you know, the Velcro, you would be surprised, you put the strap on there, it's not going anywhere. It's really not. So I'll Velcro this back up, button it down, and I'll show you the prop clearance.